right, strap in, everybody. Today, we are going deep on Nikola Tesla.
One of history's most brilliant and mysterious figures, you could say.
Yeah. Beyond his genius, there's a shroud of mystery, especially around his death ray and the FBI.
Oh, yeah, lots of intrigue around Tesla. It's like a scientific thriller with secret inventions, possible government cover ups, the whole nine yards.
So, to unravel this, we've got recently declassified FBI files and information from the Tesla Files, that book and TV series.
Our mission today, should we choose to accept it, is to figure out what these files tell us about the government's interest in Tesla's work, especially this death ray, and what happened to those missing files. The big question.
The missing files, always a good place to start. All right, 1943, World War II is raging. Tesla dies in his New York City hotel room. What happens next? Well, that's where it's interesting.
Enter the Office of Alien Property, a U.S. government agency. They seize all of Tesla's documents. Wartime, tensions are high. They're worried Tesla's inventions, especially the death ray, if it was real, could fall into enemy hands.
So basically, the government just swoops in and says, we'll take that.
Pretty much. You can kind of understand it, though, right? Imagine if a weapon like the death ray, able to shoot down planes from miles away, ended up in the wrong hands during a global conflict. Game changer.
High stakes, no doubt. So what did they find in those documents? Was the death ray real or just something he made up?
Here's where it takes a turn. They brought in Dr. John G. Trump, an MIT electrical engineer, to examine Tesla's papers. You guessed it, the uncle of a certain future president.
Really? Small world, especially when you're talking about someone like Tesla.
Right. And get this, Dr. Trump concluded that Tesla's ideas, while super interesting, weren't really practical, especially the death ray. He saw them more as, I don't know, theoretical musings than actual blueprints.
So the death ray was a bust, just Tesla being a little eccentric.
Maybe, maybe not. Here come those conflicting viewpoints. While Dr. Trump dismissed it, some military folks at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, including Brigadier General L.C. Craigie, a pioneering jet pilot, thought there might be something to the death ray concept.
Wait, so you've got a scientist saying it's nonsense and a high-ranking military guy saying, hold on, that's pretty wild.
It is. You have to consider their backgrounds, though. Dr. Trump, academic, focused on established science. General Craigie, pilot, military strategist. He saw the potential of a weapon like that, even if the science wasn't quite there yet.
Totally. Their background shaped how they saw it.
Exactly. Even in science, interpretation can be subjective, especially when you're dealing with groundbreaking ideas like Tesla's.
So where do those missing files come into play?
Okay, so when Tesla died, his nephew, Sava Kasanovic, he was the Yugoslav ambassador to the U.S., was supposed to inherit everything, including the documents. But the FBI got nervous. They worried Kasanovic might share the tech with, let's say, unfriendly nations.
The Cold War was heating up. They were probably worried about the Soviet Union. Makes sense.
Right. They even thought about arresting Kasanovic to keep him from getting the documents. But in 1952, a U.S. court ruled in Kasanovic's favor, and everything was shipped to Belgrade to the Nikola Tesla Museum.
So, mystery solved. Happy ending.
Not quite. This is where the missing files really come in. The FBI initially documented 80 trunks of Tesla's stuff. Only 60 made it to Belgrade.
Wait, 20 trunks just vanished. What happened?
That's the million-dollar question. It's possible they just combined some things, but it's also possible the U.S. government held on to some, particularly the death ray files.
Things are getting spicy. It's like missing pages from a history book, pages that might explain everything.
Yeah.
What could be in those missing files, and why would the government keep them secret all this time?
Well, remember how Dr. Trump said Tesla's ideas weren't practical? Well, it turns out, after World War II, the military started quietly looking into particle beam weaponry, basically the death ray.
Seriously. So they downplayed the death ray, but secretly tried to make it work.
It seems that way. And if they succeeded, or even made decent progress using Tesla's ideas, it would explain why some files are still classified.
This is nuts. Missing files, Cold War paranoia, maybe even secret weapon programs. This is like a movie.
It's a real puzzle, all right, and we're just getting started. As we dig deeper, we'll uncover even more about the government and Tesla and how his ideas might have been way ahead of their time.
This is fascinating. Let's get to the bottom of this.
Okay.
Here's this death ray. Let's unpack that a bit more. Tesla claimed he'd invented a weapon that could destroy things from miles away using beams of concentrated energy.
Like, imagine shooting down aircraft just with focused energy.
It sounds more like science fiction than science fact. How did he even come up with something like that way back then?
Tesla was a visionary. He saw things others couldn't even grasp. He wasn't afraid to push those boundaries.
So was there anything to back up his claims? Was the death ray more than just a theory?
Well, besides Tesla's claims themselves, the government's actions speak pretty loudly. Even though Dr. Trump dismissed it, the fact they kept researching particle beam weaponry for years afterwards says something.
So they might have been playing it down in public while secretly trying to make this death ray a reality. That's pretty wild.
Exactly. And the timing, don't forget that. This death ray idea came up when global tensions were rising, with another world war looming. It's not hard to see why a weapon like that would be so appealing to governments.
Especially if they could give him a real edge. Maybe those missing files have more detailed plans for the death ray, even evidence of early prototypes or experiments.
Could be, but here's a thought. If it was so groundbreaking, why wouldn't they declassify it? Wouldn't that scare off potential enemies?
Good point. Could it be they were afraid of it, of its power? Like opening Pandora's box, something they couldn't control.
That's one possibility. Another one, maybe they just couldn't make it work. Tesla was so far ahead of his time, maybe they didn't have the scientific know-how or the tech to actually build it.
So it could be that the death ray stayed a theory. Or maybe, just maybe, they cracked the code and they're still developing it in secret. The mind boggles.
It really does make you think, if a weapon like that exists, who has their hands on it? And how do we stop it from being used for the wrong reasons?
Big questions. Tesla himself worried about his inventions being used the wrong way. He wanted technology to help people, not hurt them. A reminder that power comes with responsibility.
A good reminder, for sure. But while this death ray stuff is fascinating, let's not forget about Tesla's other achievements. He had over 300 patents. His work wasn't just about weapons.
Oh yeah, he was way more than just the death ray guy. What would we do without AC power, wireless communication, and all those other amazing things he invented?
It's hard to imagine modern life without Tesla. His inventions weren't just groundbreaking. They completely changed things, paved the way for so much we take for granted now.
He was a true visionary, seeing a future powered by electricity when others couldn't even wrap their heads around it. It's incredible how his vision is still shaping our world.
It really shows how important he was as a scientific mind in the 20th century. His work inspires scientists and engineers today.
And to think, we might only be scratching the surface of what's possible with his ideas.
It really makes you wonder. Now, about that death ray, if it was real and the government's been working on it in secret, what does that mean for our future?
It's kind of creepy, isn't it? This idea that a weapon that destructive could be out there, hidden away from everyone.
Definitely makes you think about transparency and who's really in charge. If governments are developing these super weapons in secret, what's stopping them from using them? Who decides when and how?
Like something out of a dystopian sci-fi movie. Super advanced technology controlled by a few people with no oversight.
It's a cautionary tale. We have to be careful with powerful technology.
But let's not get too gloomy. Tesla's legacy is ultimately about progress, about innovation. He wanted technology to solve problems, not create new ones.
That's a crucial point. Tesla was all about helping humanity. He dreamed of a world with energy for everyone, wireless communication across continents, technology making life better for all.
Sounds like he was way ahead of his time.
In so many ways he was. And his vision is still playing out. Wireless tech everywhere, renewable energy on the rise, science constantly pushing the boundaries.
He really believed in humanity's power to use technology for good. Inspiring.
It is. And it's a big responsibility, using tech wisely and ethically, making sure it serves everyone, not just the powerful or the greedy.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dives, what are the big takeaways you want our listeners to remember?
First, history is rarely simple. There are always different sides to the story, hidden motives, competing narratives. We have to dig deeper, question what we're told, especially when it comes to science and technology.
Like being a detective, piecing together the clues and seeing where they lead.
Exactly. Second, Tesla's life shows us the power of curiosity, imagination, and never giving up. He faced tons of obstacles but never quit. He believed in himself and his ideas, even when no one else did.
A true pioneer, paving the way into the unknown and changing the world forever.
And finally, Tesla reminds us that technology can be good or bad. It's up to us as a society to make sure it's used for good, to build a future that's fair, sustainable, and benefits everyone.
That's a powerful message, especially today with technology changing so fast. So listeners, think about The tech you use, the energy you consume, how science affects your life.
And remember, Nikola Tesla, a brilliant, complicated, and sometimes controversial figure whose ideas are still shaping our world.
This has been incredible. I've got a whole new appreciation for Tesla, his work, and the impact his ideas still have today. But like any good mystery, I have more questions than answers. It feels like we've just scratched the surface.
That's the best part about exploring, right? Always more to discover, more to learn, more to question.
Okay, so we've looked at the mystery of the death ray, explored Tesla's incredible inventions, and gotten to know the man himself a bit better. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to touch on one more thing. Tesla's vision of the future.
Ah, yes. Tesla was famous for his predictions and ideas about the future. He believed technology could change the world, had some interesting thoughts on how it would impact society.
I'm all ears. What did he predict?
Well, he said wireless communication would connect the whole world, people talking instantly from anywhere on the planet.
And he nailed it. We take that for granted now, but back then it must have sounded like something out of a dream.
It did. He also imagined a future powered by renewable energy, things like solar and hydroelectricity, clean and sustainable energy for all.
A real environmental pioneer. His ideas about clean energy are more relevant than ever.
Absolutely. He also predicted the rise of automation and robots, machines doing the jobs humans do now.
Sounds a little scary, but it's already happening, right?
Yeah,
AI and automation are changing how we work.
that's right. And Tesla believed this would free up people to do more creative things, things they actually enjoy.
So he saw technology as a way to liberate us, free us from boring work, and help us reach our full potential.
That was his hope. He thought technology could make the world a better, fairer place.
It's a powerful vision, very inspiring. But didn't he also have some, let's say, less conventional predictions?
Oh, he did. Some of his later ideas got pretty out there, touching on the paranormal and esoteric stuff. He claimed to receive messages from aliens and believed he could harness the energy of the universe itself.
Sounds like he was really pushing the limits of what people thought was possible, even in his later years.
He was a true pioneer, always exploring, always challenging the status quo. And it's that relentless curiosity and willingness to think differently that makes Tesla so fascinating.
As we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I think it's important to remember that Tesla was a complex figure, brilliant inventor, visionary thinker, and someone who had both great successes and tough times.
A man of contradictions, you could say. A scientific genius with a spiritual side. A showman who loved to wow people, but also a bit of a recluse who preferred the company of pigeons.
He was an enigma, no doubt about it. But despite all that, his impact on the world is undeniable.
Absolutely. As we continue to unravel the mysteries surrounding his life and work, there are lessons to be learned about human ingenuity, about being ethical in our scientific pursuits, and about the legacy of a man who dared to dream big.
Well said. I feel like we've only just begun to explore this fascinating story.
There's always more to uncover, isn't there? That's what makes the pursuit of knowledge so exciting. Tesla's story reminds us of that.
It really is amazing to think we might be close to achieving some of Tesla's wildest ideas, things that seemed impossible not too long ago.
It just shows how fast technology is moving and how incredible human ingenuity can be, but it also makes you think, about the kind of future we're building.
Yeah, good point. It's not just the technology, it's what we do with it. Tesla believed in using technology to make things better for everyone, but we've also seen how it can be used to cause harm.
It's a challenge we're always going to face as technology keeps getting more advanced. It's on us to make sure we're using these powerful tools the right way to create a better future for everybody.
Definitely. Okay, those missing files. What if they really do hold secrets that could change everything? Shouldn't we be trying to find them? Shouldn't everyone have access to that knowledge, not just a few people?
It's a tough one. On one hand, you've got the idea that knowledge should be open and accessible to all, but then there's national security to consider and the risk that someone could misuse powerful technology.
It's a delicate balance, isn't it? Weighing the potential benefits of scientific progress against the potential dangers?
Exactly, and it's a conversation we need to keep having as we learn more about the universe and how things work. But let's switch gears for a minute and talk about something a bit more down to earth. Tesla's impact on the world today. His influence is everywhere, right? Think about all the technology we use on a daily basis.
It's crazy to think how much of modern life can be traced back to Tesla. Radio, Wi-Fi, remote controls, all of it goes back to his work.
And it's not just those things. Electric motors, x-rays, radar systems. He had a hand in all of that too.
It's hard to grasp how much he knew and how much his work has shaped our world.
It really shows his brilliance and how dedicated he was to pushing the boundaries of innovation. But even more important than any specific invention is the spirit of exploration and discovery that he represented.
You're so right. He never stopped challenging the status quo, always trying to figure out what was possible. That's what makes him such an inspiration to scientists and engineers today.
He was a true visionary. His legacy encourages us to think big, to be creative, and to never stop learning. So, as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Nikola Tesla, I hope you'll come away from this with a sense of wonder and a deeper appreciation for the incredible things humans can achieve.
I definitely do. This has been an amazing journey exploring the history, the science, and the lasting impact of a man who imagined a future unlike anything anyone had ever seen before.
It's been great exploring this with you.
But like any good mystery, we end up with more questions than answers.
That's what keeps things interesting, right? The quest for knowledge never really ends. Tesla's story is a great reminder of that.
So, to our listeners, one last thought. What if Tesla's vision of the future is closer than we think? What if the technologies he pioneered hold the solutions to some of the world's biggest problems? And what if those missing files really do contain secrets that could change history?
The possibilities are endless. The future is what we make it. It's up to each of us to use our knowledge and our abilities to build a world that's worthy of Tesla's legacy. A world that's fair, sustainable, and full of possibilities.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Until next time, folks, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep reaching for the stars.